Good morning, Anna.
Good morning. The sun is
I,
out. Everything is wonderful. It's
it
lovely.
sure is day 2 of Expo, and I always have like multiple screens, and I always get excited when I see the live just starting on a different screen in the background. And
Yeah.
here we are.
Yes, I know. Another really great and solid start to the morning. I'm actually really, really excited about today because nature-based solutions is something I'm really, really interested in. So far, it's been ticking all the boxes this morning. Lots of exciting speakers.
We sure did, including David Attenborough, who gave a lovely message, I thought.
Yes, exactly. It's always nice when he appears. Obviously, it's like it's a magical sort of moment, isn't it? So yes, lovely.
It really is. And I thought even Zach Goldsmith's message, all economic activity derives from nature, is a lovely statement just to frame the importance of this approach to solutions.
Yes, yeah, like I said, lots of important points, and just protecting nature, and it actually does work. And here's some of the examples that he gave this morning, which were really interesting. Not just here in the UK, but also elsewhere that are working successfully.
Definitely. And speaking of elsewhere, our first guest for the day is Professor Lucelia Rodrigues, who is from Brazil. So welcome in, Lucelia. I have to get this pronunciation correct. Good to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's so exciting to be here live. Hello, everybody.
So you're over at Nottingham and you come from Brazil. How long have you been in the UK? What's the sort of journey for you?
Well, I've been in the UK since 2004. I came as a student to understand more the issue of sustainability, and I stayed as a PhD student and eventually became a lecturer and a professor. So in my journey, I have taught hundreds of students that are now out there making this world a better place, and I'm very proud of that.
That's fantastic. Really exciting to have you here with us today, because you also have a poster, or you've had a poster presentation in the program already last night. How did that go?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's still available on demand if you want to watch. We have the presentation recorded. It's a poster covering some of our work on community energy schemes, which we feel is one of the big solutions for enabling a greener recovery, a greener city, a greener grid, without overcoming the constraints of this building alone or a larger city kind of really complex system. So have a look at them. There's a lot to talk about on that, but I think that's not the focus of our live chat today. But I'm really excited that we have that yesterday on the Green Recovery session.
It's interesting actually to see that the things that we've already built, it's not just about necessarily building new things or new solutions. Sometimes the actual solution is there right in front of us. It just needs adapting. And again, this morning, some of these kind of projects were brought out and highlighted this morning about how actually we can transform things like inner city centres where we've got quite a lot of people, and actually they're a lot warmer than obviously the rural areas. So having ways of cooling those areas, but also connecting people and communities together through these solutions are actually really interesting. So that's why we're quite excited to talk to you about your work as well. So,
You are spot on. With community energy is a great example of that, because when we used to do that all the time. I mean, we have no other means of transferring energy from A to B. So we think a community we have to produce our energy and use it. So yeah, I need a bit of water.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I think certainly one of the topics, I think it's clearly a very precise topic, but it covers so many things. The social challenge, how do you get people to sort of think about transformations in their lives, but also how do you enable the organizations that need to be central to that transformation to enable it? And I think that came up yesterday as a really important discovery in some of the research that's happened lately, that it shows people are willing to make the changes, they want to make the changes, but they need some support to do so. So where do you sort of see the priorities, Lucelia?
Well, I think the social challenge, which we talk, sorry for that.
That's okay.
No, because I'm live.
Yeah.
It's great. Of course, we understand the impacts on people, and I think there was a discussion around that and the issues with equality and the most vulnerable being impacted. But there's a very big societal issue with engagement.
Yeah.
So firstly, because we have so much emergent issues or things that are happening all the time and priorities we have to deal with, and it might be socio-economic or it might be a pandemic. You know, we're all dealing with a global pandemic at the moment, so it's much harder for us to think long term. And I think we still have to tackle climate change while we can see, hospitals being full and people dying everywhere. So it's very difficult to focus and enable that engagement. It's also very difficult to understand. this is a very complex issue. You've been hearing from a lot of experts, and we all disagree on what is the best way forward, because it's too complex to really tackle like that. And if that's the case, we can't expect everybody to have a full understanding of what this is about, and really an understanding of how the individual actions will impact in the long term, because that's quantifying that is extremely difficult. I also think there is an issue of accountability. If you ever worked in a big organization, you might have come across a RACI chart where, in simple terms, it's where you define who is responsible for undertaking a task, and who is accountable for doing the task, and who would just be consultant when that's being done, or who's going to be informed. If you try to think of Earth as a big organization, and the task is mitigating climate change, where are you? Are you just happy to be informed of what's happening, or sometimes maybe consulted a bit, or are you really taking responsibility for delivering that task and mitigating climate change? Are you feeling accountable for the issue being not mitigated, or is that a problem that is above us in policymakers? So I think those three are very key from a societal side perspective, and how we really get people to engage with the issue and deliver something against it.
Yeah, it's quite the balance, really, isn't it? Because there's so many moving parts, and also, we can't stop, we can't stand still, we must keep going. And so there's this, so many issues to start with, and then, like you said, there's this almost confusion about what we need to do, where we need to put the efforts, who needs to be in charge of it. And accountability is a really difficult thing. And I think, even at an academic level, when you take it down again from those levels, and you start coming down the, societal kind of scale, and you look at the everyday person who really wants to do something and doesn't necessarily have that information available, or not sure where to go or how to access it, that's a whole other problem as well. But then being able to get them to engage in just an everyday thing, having some control for themselves as well on, just a personal scale, is really important. And that also goes all the way up the chain to the top, where we've got all these people who desperately need to work out how we're going to tackle this, and so many departments, so many countries, and it's a colossal scale effort, really, isn't it? But there are
individual action, doesn't it? And I think that's why research and data is really important. It's trying to make that connection, illustrate the problem, and enable us to understand. When I put my waste in the wrong bag, am I have a big impact on a bigger picture? And how can I become accountable for that action, because I'm delivering, I guess, a much bigger picture? So I think research and data and the work that academics have been presenting in the last couple of days, or day and a half, and we continue to present to the end of the week, is extremely important to enable that to happen. It's only then that everyone can become responsible for delivering the task of mitigating climate change, because they can fully understand what action they can take to actually get a result that is positive.
I mean, one of the things I wonder about is you teach architecture, I believe, Lucelia, and I think that one of the challenges we face is how to involve the public in urban planning and have engagement with local communities to ensure that what's built and what's around them is able to respond to some of these key issues. Is that something that you sort of bring into your teaching?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We do. I mean, our most successful projects have been with collaborative planning, when everyone has a say. And it's not just about keeping the public informed. The community has a wealth of knowledge that we need to tap into when we're trying to deliver solutions. Otherwise, the solutions might not be appropriate for the community. So it's absolutely crucial that they are part of the process. They're not just informed, not even just consulted, but they are actually responsible for delivering the task. And that's how we make really successful planning decisions and changing cities. And I think at the moment we are living in a big uncertainty in that area, because with COVID, we know the dynamics have changed, but we don't know what is sustainable in that change. So of course we are working from home. We're doing our lives from home, and that seems to work to a certain level, but is that going to continue to be the right thing in the long run? And if it is, what are the implications for transport and occupation of city centers, and for office spaces, and for a collaboration and people coming together and feeling part of an institution? So there is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns, and at the moment, neither the experts or the community know the answers. So I think we really have to get our heads together in order to deliver green recovery, the response to a post-pandemic world, and a world that is more resilient to future pandemics adequately.
So talking about then, what priorities would you personally like to see if you could have, the floor to speak about this right now? What would you feel that going forward, the priorities for you personally, you see as being the change we need to make?
Well, I think from a policy making, we need to boil down to actually regulations where you must deliver something. So I'll give you an example. In Nottingham, we have a very large brownfield site very near to the city, in addition to a famous Blood Marsh scheme. If you've been in Nottingham or heard from Nottingham in the last couple of years, you heard about this. This is a very large city centre area that is just being demolished, and an old shopping mall, and it's going to be replaced with something. And what that something is a big question. In my head, that something has to be supported and informed and work alongside the community. But at the same time, I would like to see policymakers and people both coming down and saying, oh, you absolutely have to make this zero carbon. You absolutely have to produce that or give back this amount of public realm. You absolutely have to integrate this amount of nature-based solutions within the scheme. Because I think we've got the solutions out there. We've got very clever people that can design amazing cities that can make this work from a perspective of the nature, from a perspective of people, from a financial investment perspective. But we don't need to force that to happen sometimes, because that doesn't naturally come. It might be the finances might take priority in a certain situation. Sometimes it might be the climate, but maybe the community might be ignored. And I think it's balancing those issues out and ensuring that we have minimal metrics that are delivered for any big development in any city. So any extras are bonus, but at least we're meeting minimal targets.
Yeah, I think that's such an important message. I think that often people do get overwhelmed with the scale of the problem, and actually to remind people that it's not that we don't have any solutions. There are lots of great solutions that people can utilize and implement. You just need to keep your eyes open and look for them. And I think that's crucial, because it can be quite overwhelming for people. And I think that idea of engaging people is so fundamental, which is what leads me up to the final part of our session today. And as I mentioned at the start, I'm very excited that we are launching a campaign today, and so this will be the first showing of it. We've got a few showings of the film trailer across the week, but I'm really delighted to be playing the first showing of this in our live today. So you'll love this, Leah, because it really is about bringing people together and helping them to act now. So here we go. We'll come back afterwards.
In November 2021, the UK will host the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties in Glasgow, also known as COP26. The COP26 summit will bring together international government negotiators, decision makers, and policy makers to discuss how they should accelerate action towards stopping climate change. From small island states to countries with rapidly growing urban areas, representatives from 197 countries are expected to join the summit. We, the young people living across the planet, have the opportunity to tell these decision makers why stopping climate change is important to us, the future generations, and everyone's voice matters.
So we're making a film, all of us. Please tell us what matters most, and we'll bring your perspective into the frame. Tell us what is important to you and how leaders can change so that they can lead the change we want to see in our world. If you're 18 to 30 years old, submit your video on Twitter, Instagram, or Weibo of up to 2 minutes in high definition using the hashtag #ActNowFilm.
Your video submission should include the following points: your first name and country, why is climate change important to you, what do you think is the most important change that needs to be addressed in climate change, are you a part of any group or organization? If so, where is it and what does it do? What pledge will you take to address climate change? And what would you most like to say to the global decision makers at COP? For more details, please follow on Instagram, Twitter, or Weibo, where you will find everything you need.
Here's your chance to show the negotiators what action you are already taking and what action you'd like them to take.
How about that?
That's amazing. I love the film and I love the message. And I love that we actually see so much change in the last couple of years brought from younger generations saying, hey, wait a minute, we are also responsible for this. Let's make this work. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's exciting to see it.
Yeah, and I think this message of hope is really cool. It's great to get this across and to see that we can do something together. So Anna, and it's Anna's voice at the start, of course, Anna.
Yes, that was an exciting moment as well. I've not done anything like that before. So yes, it was lovely to narrate that and help out.
So we'll be talking about this across the week, of course, but thank you so much for being here, Lucelia. It's been great to have you and a perfect fit for this launch of the trailer, which we'll be seeing more of over the week. So enjoy the rest of your expo and look forward to following your work leading up to COP especially.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This has been amazing. And thanks for sharing the video. I'm going to follow it through the week. That's amazing. Thank you.
An absolute pleasure. And so we are back again at 11:45 with another special guest. So great to see everyone here and see you later. Bye.
Bye for now.